I believe most of the things I did in my life, people didn't expect them from me. I remember when I was in maybe middle school, they didn't expect me to go to that type of liceo that I told you. When I finished high school, they didn't expect me to go to university. And I was the first one to graduate out of my high school class. When I finished my high school and I decided to have the crazy idea to come back here in this country and make music, people didn't really think a black person could ever make it in this country. Like even unluckily, unfortunately, up to this day, I'm still the only black guy that happened to have a contract from from a big major, like music major.
All right. So we were talking about music, and I want to ask you more about your music, the choices around your lyrics, the choices around the melodies, and your message, because I feel like you're a
Yeah.
storyteller. So yeah, just share with us a
Uh,
little bit more.
I got my degree in England in 2010. My thesis, yeah, was on, the title was Media Minorities and Distortion of Reality. Because at that point I realized that Italy was experiencing like a good level of racism, a bad level of racism. And I felt the need to explain and to tell my story because I realized that in most of my personal life situations, when people knew my story, they were more like inclined to treat me better and to respect me. So I believe that art and music in general is a way to teach people to not be racist in a simple way, but also to make them learn about you. Because at the end of the day, Italians love those American rappers and those American actors, even if they're black, just because they know their story.
So tell me about the choices of genre of
Yeah.
music.
Uh, I grew up listening to Italian rap mostly, and then also American rap. But what I've been trying to do lately is to uh, make a fusion between Italian rap and Afrobeat because I'm from Nigeria. So that has always been part of my life. So yeah, I'm trying to bring this fusion because Afrobeat is really not a thing here in Italy, but we're trying to make it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting because your name is Kuti, so already people have expectations. Does that happen sometimes when you get approached about your music? They think straight away it has to be
Uh,
Afrobeat.
maybe more, I don't know. Like, I can't say that no one knows Fela Kuti in Italy, but they wouldn't say Afrobeat. They just maybe assume he's a dope African musician. Like, there's not so much knowledge about what Afrobeat is, in Italy.
So and in terms of Afrobeat, blending that into your music, what do you feel is coming out of that? What do you see is coming out of that shift and really moving more towards your roots in a sense?
I think it's actually giving me a, a niche. Like, the fact that lately I've been trying to, sometimes it confuses me to hear my voice in double, but I'm trying to get past it. No, the fact that I'm using this Afrobeat and that I'm mainly focusing on this genre of music is giving me a niche because at the end of the day, there are a few people in Italy that actually know what this genre of music is, and especially is bringing me closer to other second generation African kids like me. Strangely enough, I think I had I would make higher numbers when I was doing the trap stuff, but I'm doing way more concerts and I'm getting like more popular among a certain particular field, particular niche ever since I've been doing this Afrobeat.
I was thinking maybe you can tell me your thoughts around, is that because there's a new generation who are proud of their African heritage, who are connected through social media? Because I find it curious that change. Also, in terms of, let me say, people are returning to Africa who have been brought up abroad, some who never lived in Africa as children. It seems to be a big shift. And I was watching a program where this family moved from the Netherlands, and they have the Ghanaian background, and they moved to Ghana, and now they tell their children if they misbehave, they'll
To
send them
Netherlands.
back. So it's a complete different.
Really?
Yes.
That would be fun.
Yes. So I think it's very, because my generation, it was the opposite. You know, it was the opposite threat. You know, if you misbehave, you'd be sent to work in the village. Like, oh no, I don't want that. So I think there's a new generation that's very, very from the ground, quite confident and quite
You wanna know
interested
something
in Africa.
funny?
And I wonder
My
if you're
younger
tapping into
brother,
that.
like, is called Afolabi. He's 16 years old, and unluckily, he lived through the promise that they were going to send him to Nigeria, and they sent him to Nigeria. But the funniest thing is that he
Right.
came back, like, after a whole year at school in Nigeria, and they were like, "Do you want to come back to your school in Italy, or you want to go to school in England?" And he said, "No, he wants to go back to Nigeria." And that's shocking to me, because for me, that was the biggest threat ever. I'm going to say. And he's like, well, and my
That's
parents
the
are like,
thing.
let's go
That's
to
the
England.
thing.
We'll find you a private school so you can live there in England, blah, blah, blah. He's like, no, I want to go back to Nigeria.
The continent is
guess.
popping. I'm
I
not
guess.
surprised, you know. It's really
Yeah.
right now with the arts. It's definitely a good time to
No,
to
so
check it out.
to
I
answer
would
your
say.
question, I must say that even me, like I must say that a few Nigerian artists that have had like international success lately gave pride to a lot of people like me. Like you have to know that in Italy, tu per esempio Letizia conosci la macete, salmo così, no? Vabbè. Vabbè. See, there is this Italian like crew, like they're one of the dopest hip hop group. They have Davido in their latest CD. So that's
Right.
what's been happening. So it's just a moment where, man, it's cool to be African somehow.
Yeah.
It's
That's
sad
quite
that,
a
yeah,
crossover
it's sad
because
that it's
Davido
relating to
was. Go on.
superficial things as music, but like the success that those African artists are having is really changing
Yeah.
and is shaping the image of of an African, and maybe also of a black person. It's just giving different
Absolutely.
perspective, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even if you look at popular artists like Beyonce, you can look at their
Yeah,
latest works. It's very heavily influenced by Africa. Of course, there's contention around who's the audience, what is
yeah.
the exact messaging,
But those are the
but
Americans. They're
there is
just
a
never
feeling
happy.
that
No, I'm joking.
yeah, but well, you can't
Yeah,
please everybody, that's
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. That's for sure. But it does say that there's a generation that will not be leaving Africa and will
yeah.
feel very comfortable and make a very healthy career and living for themselves creatively without stepping off the continent.
Of course.
So that's an interesting
Yeah,
time, I think.
and I have the feeling like, you know, my
They are
girlfriend,
artists.
she's American. She's a black American. I mean, mixed race. And she can't wait to go to Nigeria because of all this stuff she heard about dancings, about the artists and stuff like that. So I think this generation of people is really going to get people to go to Africa and to have the curiosity to go there and
Yeah.
discover things, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you haven't, I guess, had a
Not
concert
yet.
in Africa yet.
Not yet.
Is that right? Is it in your plan? Because you talk like it's
Yeah,
something
my
that you
hope
would
at
like
some
to
point
do.
I want to get in. I would like to get involved with those Nigerian Afrobeat artists. When I saw those Italian artists that had the song with Davido before me, I was like, no way, it's unfair. It's unfair. But we're gonna get there.
So how has it been for you finding your identity amongst all these shifts, and where do you find yourself now? You know, that's what I'd like to know.
Let's say that in my previous life, until 3 years ago, I was a really confused person. I was some kind of chameleon, you say chameleon. I will just fit in all those different type of contests. Like I had my neighborhood contest growing up here in Italy. I had my Italian intellectual hipsterish friends. I always try to really fit in, like with the topics we will talk about, and my outfits and stuff like that. It's just lately that I'm just trying to make sense of out of it, and just have something that is just a mixture of all of these things, and it's not just like a total definite choice, or like, you know, involvement in maybe in a type of way of living or stuff. But yeah, all of those different shifts really definitely brought a lot of confusion in my identity.
And I guess you feel, is it right to say that you're still working on your
Of
identity, still
course,
figuring yourself out? Yeah, it's
of course.
constantly evolving and
Yeah,
changing.
I'm constantly working on my identity. You know, every maybe 6 months or 1 year, I realize I'm a different person. And then I look at my old pictures and I'm like, hey, no.
They say 7 years for your whole body
Oh,
to be regenerated.
totally.
So when you talk to
I
the
believe
younger generation
most of the
now,
things
the
I did in my
teenagers
life,
trying to make
people
music,
didn't expect
what
them
would you
from me.
say
I remember when
you
I
have
was in
transformed that
maybe
was negative
middle
or
school, they
difficult for
didn't
yourself
expect me
into
to go to
something
that type of
positive? How have you
liceo that I told
transformed
you.
some
And
challenges
I
you had
finished
in your
high school,
life?
they didn't expect me to go to university. And I was the first one to graduate out of my high school class. When I finished my high school and I decided to have the crazy idea to come back here in this country and make music, people didn't really think a black person could ever make it in this country. Like, even unluckily, unfortunately, up to this day, I'm still the only black guy that happened to have a contract from from a big major, like music major.
Please like and subscribe. Shout at Hues Films.